Welcome to ChinnyVision, and let's go, Mr. Driver. Okay, before we begin, I should state now that if you're tuning in here to see a home conversion of the Chase HQ2 arcade machine, this is not it. Chase HQ2 came out in the arcades in 2007, I think. Completely different game, unrelated to this one. If you're looking for that game, I suggest you go and watch something else like The Back Office Show or Ashens or Mr. PSB driving diesel locomotives. I'll put links to those below. Anyway, Chase HQ2 is the follow-up to the arcade smash Chase HQ, a massive home gaming hit in 1989. Amstrad and Spectrum versions, two of the best games on their respective systems, or one of the best games on their respective systems. Really good. At the time, people liked the ST and Amiga versions. They aren't too good, to be honest, in retrospect. And the C64 version is one of the worst gaming atrocities of all time. So we're going to be interested to see how the next version works out. And one of the things you need to know at the beginning, it's not by the same people. No, you would have thought if you had a massive hit, you would just take Chase HQ, use the engine and make Chase HQ2. No. And we're going to start off on the Spectrum using CRT, Philips monitor / Acorn monitor. And Chase HQ2 is not by the same code as Chase HQ1. You would have thought they would have just used the same code from Chase HQ to make a better, improved version of the game. After all, the ratings for the first game was so high, and it's the same format. You race along, you bash cars off the road, but no. We got a new version of the game by the coders who bought you Hydra and Cisco Heat. I'll just let that hang. So you race along for about 60 seconds, you find the enemy, who this time has enemies protecting him, and you bash them off the road. You know the score, so here we go. We've bashed the first car off the road on Spectrum, and oh no, I haven't got the right person, I'm going to go chase after someone else. It's not as fast or smooth or as attractive as the original Chase HQ on the Spectrum. The entire time you're playing it, you're going, why haven't they just used the engine from the first game? It's not even sampled speech. It's like Ocean don't care. It's just like they've just put the game to some coders, who not the same ones as last time, and gone, yeah, just do this. Because of course the coders of Chase HQ1 would have been busy doing Burning Rubber for the GX4000 this Christmas. So they were using all that expertise on GX4000 over the C64, and I really hope this is better than Chase HQ1 on the C64. It's a cartridge game, but it's been ported to disc, so you get some control options there. And the plot of the game is the mayor's daughter has been kidnapped, and you have to bash a load of people off the road to rescue her. It's irrelevant really, because all you got to do is get in the level and bash a car around. So what's this going to be like? There's a lot of loading on this version, which I've cut down. Hit fire, right, off we go. And we do get a jolly tune. And actually, you know what? It's far better than Chase HQ1 on the C64. It looks far better, it's far faster and smoother. The cars scale properly. There's a sense of speed. It's not great. But you're just thinking, well, isn't this better? It's the one version where you wouldn't want that original engine to be reused. A helicopter comes along, at a certain point it drops weapons down to you, so you now get some weapons to shoot at the enemy. You get boosts as before. I'm playing on the C64 version here with a cheat, so my timer is not counting down. It is quite hard. I think it's harder than the original Chase HQ. Over to the Amiga version, and it's obviously 16-bit, so it's nice and polished. And off we go. Nice colourful graphics. This is running on the Amiga 1200, so it's a little bit faster than stock. The thing is, it's the racing engine is nowhere good as games like Lotus 2 that are much smoother. The map undulates more, and the car handling is far better. It's not the worst game ever, and it's probably better than Chase HQ 1 on the 16 bits. But it's just not really that standard you're coming to expect of 16-bit games. So there you go, got the criminal up there. The bash him off. No, it's really hard on the 16 bits. Really hard. And here on the 16 bits is where you get these other enemies, and guys on motorbikes hanging around trying to throw things at you, fire at you, and going to hit you and so on around the enemy car. And you get those other stages on the level as well, trying to slow you down. You're not penalised for shooting and killing civilians, by the way. I've run out of time. Not to worry, we'll come back with a cheat and get further into the game. Over to the ST version, and a big thanks to Steve Green, who's purchased the channel and flashed a GoTech drive for me to make my life so much easier. And I'm therefore don't have to write floppy disks, which is a bit of a chore. I can just actually just copy stuff onto a memory card. So big thanks to Steve for that, because it's made things a lot easier. And a lot of the versions of Chase HQ2 Online don't work. And I've had people via Twitter testing out the different versions, and they get the same problems I do on my ST. Pompey Pirates version does work, but it only if you enable the trainer. If you don't, the game loads up and now the controls work. Quite odd, but I'm not going to complain that I'm forced to play this with a cheat. So we just have to take that into account, that although the timer is counting down there, it's not going to make any difference at all. So this is the speed it's actually happening at on a stock ST and Amiga. And yeah, you can see it's even slower, as you'd expect. But again, Lotus and things like that are so much faster and smoother. And this is just a bit jerky and fiddly with bad controls. Back over the Spectrum, and you get this crosshair as well on the Spectrum when the enemy van is in your sight. Now, you fire at the enemy van, that causes damage, and the other weapons you get cause damage. It is still the case when you hit the enemy vehicles, that causes much more damage. Unfortunately, it's not as fun as the original game, where you've got the undulating road and your car launches into the air, and sometimes you can hit the enemy car from the top, which causes a massive amount of damage. You'd like to think they'd played the Spectrum version and gone, yeah, we want to do better than that. Incidentally, the lady there looks like Leslie Judd, or is that just me? And all the levels on the Spectrum look pretty much the same. This is stage 3. All the colours are the same. Oh! What is going on the left? I think it's supposed to be a ravine with mountains below, but it just looks weird. Got a helicopter above me here on stage 2, and you fall off the side of the map very, very easily, or the road very easily. It's very tough. If I wasn't playing this with a cheat now, I don't know how far I could actually get. Buddy, you did it again. I ain't Bob. This little girl ain't the one I... Why are these people capturing all these girls? It's a little bit... Yeah, you don't think about it too much, do you? It just feels like a chore, where Chase HQ1 never felt like that. Okay, it did on C64, but even on 16 bits it was still fun. Look out for landslide here on level 4. And yeah, you've got the landslide isn't a landslide coming down the side of the road, it's just some rocks in the road that look like the tumbleweed in Chase HQ1 until you hit them and your car comes to a halt. It's just not very... I don't know. I'm playing this and it's not the kind of game you go, I want to give this one more go. You just think, it's Magnolia. If this was paint, it would be Magnolia. It's kind of perfectly acceptable. You can paint your house and it's fine. You can sell the house, but it's boring. And Chase HQ should never be boring. Chase HQ 1 isn't boring. Chase HQ 1 is an absolutely brilliant, wonderful game. And I think Ocean are at a stage now where they're publishing so much stuff that they can't have that care that the in-house teams have. Where they're sending stuff out to external contractors, they're left to get on with it, and a game comes back and it's okay and it looks good enough and it gets put out. Whereas the internal teams are really working to make fantastic games, like the Chase HQ1, C64 version accepted. It's a really good game that builds on all of Ocean's know-how, building other games. It uses some of the code on the Z80 versions from WEC Le Mans, for example. Over on C64 version, that is level 3 completed. Oh look, it's green and black again, just for a change. And while we're racing along here, remember, if you'd like to, you can support ChinnyVision on Patreon for extra videos and various bits and pieces. Just $1 a month gets you in, and there's sometimes prizes on offer as well. There's also ChinnyVision 2, which again I'll link to below, and that has extra bits and pieces on there as well. And of course you can follow ChinnyVision on Twitter for all the latest news and information on the channel. I've run out of time, and I know you think your computer's crashed, but that's the factory where the hostage is held, blowing up. And then we see Jennifer. So she's still alive, or she died, or what? Back to the ST, and we're getting towards level 5, for there are 5 levels of the game. And this is pretty much the end baddie. Do like the sky here on the ST. And the truck turns into a helicopter, which is... Let's not think about this, because the helicopter must be flying backwards. I'm driving towards the helicopter at, up to 180 miles an hour. So the helicopter must be flying backwards at 180 miles an hour. Has nobody thought this through? And you have to ram the helicopter off the road.
Yeah, it's me. Listen here, listen good. Your little girl's hugging a time bomb in a warehouse. You're somewhere in the suburb. You've got only 30 seconds left. Ha ha ha.
So you don't know where in suburbs it is, but we're going to... Oh, so we've got a 30-second dash, we've got 30 seconds of loading between levels, so she's probably already dead. Right, let's go for this, and I can cheat, so it loads of turbo. By the way, anyone else, because everyone else has got turbos in their cars today. You know, they're everywhere, right? Back in the 80s and 90s, you thought a turbo was something that was like a button you pressed in the car, made the car go really fast. But actually it's something quite boring that operates in, all the time in your actual real life car. Actually, having a turbo button, you just press a button, you go faster. There we go, smash through to the kind of somewhere in the suburbs, and then you rescue her, and then the factory blows up. And yay, we've won. Woo! Jennifer! He looks a bit like Donald Trump on the right there. Or better hair than Donald Trump. Dreams, ambitions. A city is full of dangers of every shape and size. But the world is made for heroes, not cowards. I hereby record your bravery and remember it for a long time to come. God bless you. Or appropriate music. Oh, dear. Now, the GX4000 version, which I can't review because there's only 2 copies in existence in the world, and it's never been dumped. This game was advertised, it was never reviewed, and as far as everyone was concerned, it never came out. A company called Wave used to publish in the pages of Amstrad Action, and they advertised cartridges of Chase HQ. Not Chase HQ 2, the advert simply said Chase HQ listed in with a load of other cartridge games for about £5, I think it was. And I looked at that along with a load of other people and went, well, that's a misprint. I'm not going to spend £5 on that game. More fool us. That changes hands now for about £900. something like that. So yeah, whoever saw Amstrad Action bought those cartridges came out of it really well. Now, there is a clip of the GX4000 version on YouTube, and you can search that out. I'm not going to rip that because I don't wear a top hat, but having watched it, I can certainly say it's nothing special. It's a straight port, pretty much of the Spectrum version, but in 16 colours. It doesn't move particularly well. It doesn't look like it uses particularly many of the CPC Plus's hardware features. I think, to be honest, Amstrad owners got off pretty lightly by not having it released. So, Chase HQ2. Why on earth, if you've got an award-winning, chart-topping, highly acclaimed game and you want to do a follow-up, why wouldn't you either use the same coders or even use the same engine as you used before and just update it, put new levels in, add new elements? Because the original game's highly rated. Instead, Ocean have had to go to a set of external coders who've had to reinvent the wheel. Worse, apparently one of the coders on the Spectrum version was involved in Outrun on the Spectrum, and this coding team went on to code Cisco Heat. Oh dear, why would you not capitalise on that superb original game? This is just cynical, this is just awful. Spectrum and C64, well, Spectrum, it's okay, but it's no more than that. And when your expectation levels are at the level of Chase HQ1, one of the best games on the system, you've got to at least be approaching somewhere near that game, and you're not even halfway there. And I can't really say more than that. It's nowhere near as good as it should have been. C64 version, it's way better than the first game. If you're a C64 owner, then this is the Chase HQ game for you. It's not particularly good, but it's way better than Chase HQ1, and will at least give you a Chase HQ experience of crashing cars off-road without you wanting to tear your hair out and poke your own eyes out with a rusty spoon like Chase HQ1 on the C64. On the ST and Amiga, well, there's not so much of a gulf between the first game and the second game, but it's still nowhere near as good as it should be, and it doesn't match up against other racing games on the systems either. It's a blessing for the GX4000 this game was never put under wide release, because, again, it would have just sullied the experience of what is a brilliant game on the CPC. Ocean, you know you've put out rubbish here. You know that. You've read the reviews of the first game. You know how good the first game is. Absolute shame on you for putting this rubbish out and sullying the name of one of the best games you ever published, certainly on the Spectrum and Amstrad.